Come on along on a triple trip video to France. One in 1991 with Frederica, Curtis, and Chris, another with Chris and I in 95, and then with Stephen Koppel in 97. This Tour de France starts in Chris' hometown of Courcheverny. Here we see the town hall. Then it's down a quaint street to Maman's house. There is Maman's house. And Maman checking the mail and trying to hide from the camera. Now, the Delay house is about 150 years old. It's made of stone. There are no frame houses in France that I could tell. And the side garden, beautifully landscaped. Lots of antiques and lots of books. Maman is an avid reader. Here is the grunt painting shutters, one of my chores. And Maman's back garden. Maman picking some veggies for dinner. And one of the dogs hiding under a chair. There is Maman commissioned several paintings from yours truly, and they are hung in her living room. And of course, Maman has to clean her dogs every day. And here is the salon and the dining room. That looks like a picture of me. Then we had to watch a little TV. This is something like Wheel of Fortune in France. And now Christine's brothers, Patrice and Pierrot, will entertain you with a bawdy little song, okay?
Sans devant, derrière et sans dessus, dessous.
And here are some highlights of the trip that Frederica and Curtis took with their mother to see her mother. Now, down there is the cellar where they keep the wine. You know, France and wines go synonymous, go together. This is Mon Oncle Kiki, Maman's brother. In France, there always seems to be time for drinks and snacks, or amuse-gueule, as they call them. And here you see the family, and there is Alexis, the son of Patrice and Martine. And there's Pierrot and Martine. They're playing pétanque. It's kind of a bowling. Hello, Amel. That's Pierrot's wife. There's Pierrot, Armel, Gregory, Maman, and that's Alexis, Patrice's son. A good time was had by all, including Yvette and Claude, and there is Dominique, Frederica's summer love. Then we're off to Patrice's house in the country. Had a wonderful time there. Beautiful place. Another cocktail party. And yet another one. This one is at Yvette and Claude's place. And there's Curtis having a wonderful time. Then we went to visit, or they went to visit, Uncle Kiki at his farm. He's a champion goat raiser. Curtis was not impressed with the smell because it was fairly stinky. Hi, sis. And here is Kiki's house, the house that Kiki built. And Kiki is an award-winning goat raiser and goat cheese manufacturer. An interesting little side plot. Here is a hen raising some ducklings. Quack, quack, quack. The livestock. Here are the kids with their great uncle Kiki and some of the farm equipment. Frederica and one of Maman's doggies. And here's the back field behind Uncle Kiki's home. Now, naturally, Uncle Kiki had to furnish déjeuner, or lunch, and it was a beautiful lunch. The kitchen was a disaster, but the lunch was magnificent. And Christine and I were off to Paris, 100 miles from Courcheverny, as we said before, but this time we took the train. And driving up the Champs-Élysées, there is the Arc de Triomphe. And of course the Eiffel Tower. Can't miss that. We only went halfway up, though. It's quite a trip. Notre Dame de Paris, where the Hunchback lived. Remember him? Now here is Curtis at the backside of Notre Dame.
Actually, this is the backside picture.
And this is the Louvre with the great glass pyramid which covers the new entrance, the old entrance being worn out by too many visitors. It takes at least 2 days to go through the Louvre. I did it in 5 hours. Now there, of course, is the famous Mona Lisa. And kind of an aerial shot of Gay Paris. So much to see in Paris, including Père Lachaise Cemetery. Just everyone who's anyone's buried there, including Chopin and Edith Piaf, Abelard and Eloise, the Renaissance poet, and Oscar Wilde. Remember him? British, but he's buried in Paris. Now, closer to home is Blois, which is about 5 miles from Courcheverny, and it's kind of a small Paris, a beautiful city. And there we met Maman's hairdresser, among others. And it was market day. And Maman, who's very famous, she met and we talked to one of the gendarmes.
Those two women.
Now, there are a couple of ladies who are shopping.
Mesdames.
Hello, Maman. Now, this construction looks like Tudor, but it's probably something French. And this is just above a toy shop, Les Jouets. Jouet means toys. Oh, I'm so smart. Anyway, the streets are kind of like the K Street Mall. There's no traffic, so you can walk right down the street, and it's beautifully paved. There's a famous statue of famous Monsieur Quelque Chose. More shots of the street. And of course, France is famous for its chateaux. Many, many chateaux. And one of them, one of the most famous, is in Blois. It's actually 5 chateaux in one. I think France is the first. Is that the first one? Well, anyway, a bunch of them. And here's, you can see how it's pieced together over there on the right. Then a quick shot to the Chateau de Chabot, which is the hunting lodge of Francois Ier, Francis I. Maman's neighbor Claude and I took a balloon ride over the Chateau de Cheverny, which is about half a mile from the house. Unfortunately, the battery died on the camera and we missed all the magnificent aerial shots. However, there was a pageant one evening in which, and a light show of the Chateau de Cheverny, which is right here. Turn the lights on, folks. There we are. There was dancing, there were cannons, there were battles. It was impressive. Very impressive. Now, another, right around the corner from Maman's is another chateau, and this belongs to, I think, the sister of the owner of Cheverny, the Count de Cheverny. And it's a nice little maison. Maman knows this lady. We didn't get to meet her, though. The next chateau is out of sequence. It's Avignon Châteauneuf-du-Pape in south of France. In one of our trips, Stephen Koppel accompanied us, and here we are at Chaumont, which is a fairy tale type castle. And here I am at Montrichard, where Richard the Lionheart was kept prisoner by the French. Now, back to some very colorful interesting architecture. This is Guy and Jeannick's home, and it is Middle Ages, Moyen Âge construction. Very, very old, and it's about half a block from Maman's, right around the corner. Here is the garden. And this arch is definitely Middle Ages. Here is a joist. This actually holds the beams up inside the house. And a little pan of the garden. You can see by the rustic look of the walls that it was built some time ago. And guess what? Another cocktail party. Yes, apéritif, and there is Janique, our hostess, and it's Guy, and Maman hiding from the camera again. Such a beautiful woman. Inside there are many bits and pieces of Middle Ages construction and architecture. It's a beautiful place. Where do you see this beam? Now this is one of the beams I was telling you about. That rock is the joist holding it up. Simply merveilleux. Or merveilleuse, I'm not sure what gender it is. Anywho, we had a great time. There was a wonderful lunch that our host and hostess prepared for us. And Guy collects cars. He has 3 or 4 very nice antique cars and Jaguars and so forth. Then there was a trip out to visit Maman's cousins. Now these cousins are all bachelor women. They never married. They just had their daughters. And one of them is this darling little character here. Isn't she cute? Then we went to a cheese factory. You know, they make goat cheese, famous in France. And here's where they make it. Then this is Mammut, which is an enormous supermarket, bigger than anything I've ever seen in the United States, where Maman does her shopping. And a very sophisticated pharmacy, as you can see. Now, the Hôtel de Trois Marchands is right next door to the church at which we were married, and it's where we had our wedding reception. Jean-Pierre, our chauffeur and friend, is taking us to lunch along with his family. And here we see his wife. And of course, Maman, Jean-Pierre's mother, and there's his daughter, Angelique. On one trip to France, we drove down to Provence in the south of France to visit some very interesting places, including Gadagne, which is where my Christine's grandparents retired. And here's the place in which they retired, which is now a doctor's office. Also, the most fascinating part of the whole thing probably was Glenham, which is Roman and Greek ruins stacked one on top of the other. And for all you archaeologists, it was simply fascinating, my dears. And of course, there's a whole lot more. And if you want to see it, you can research the hours of video and the albums that we have. The trip to the south of France ended with the Mediterranean, and there it is. And we'll end this segment with our flight home over Greenland.